Hi there everyone, and welcome back to Ellie's Handcrafted Jewelry. Today I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make these settings. So this is the setting I'm referring to here. It's a fairly simple setting and it works for both the flat back cabochon as well as faceted stones with pointed backs, which is what this one happens to be. And it only takes a couple different gauges of wire and of course your stone. I'll go ahead and show you what I use. So for the stone, I'm just going to use this 6mm cubic zirconia. And like I said, this also works for flat back cabochons as well. So if you have one, I'm just going to use a piece of 18 gauge wire. Depending on the size of the stone, you could probably go lower. Since mine's a 6mm, I think 18 gauge is going to work. The lowest gauge I've done is 5mm, and I've still used just the 18 gauge, but you could even go down to 20. As far as tools go, you'll need chain nose pliers and flesh cutters. You may or may not need a dowel. It just kind of depends. I just have them on the side in case I need them. Also, these are, I'd say they're optional, but I highly recommend having an anvil and chasing hammer. And mine has a dome on it, so it's a lot more forgiving, especially if you're starting out. This is what I started with. I just like the extra texture to the wire when it's hammered. So let's go ahead. Oh, and one last thing. You're also going to need the second gauge wires, 28 gauge wire. You could go as high as 26 and as low as 30, but I like 28 gauge. It works just about for everything. Okay. So this is how we're going to start. So take your 18 gauge wire and I'm just going to turn it like this. Kind of a fun trick. And I'm going to make a little circle. That's going to be the top portion of that setting. If I can get it to do what I want it to. That's okay. You can also use your pliers to manipulate the wire a little bit if you need to, since 18 gauge is fairly thick. Okay. And I'm just going to check and make sure that my stone would fit in there. And keep in mind when you hammer it, it does spread a little bit, so if it feels like it's loose already, then you might want to tighten the circle a little bit. And that's where the dowel would come in. This trick works pretty well for me, but if you're having a hard time getting a nice circle, you can totally use a dowel or a pencil or whatever matches your diameter there. Once we get our circle, we're going to go ahead and grab our chain nose pliers and we're going to go ahead and pull off the side at the top. And I'm going to do the same on the other side, like that. And just play with it until you get the shape you want. Once we get that shape, we're going to go ahead and bring over our anvil. Make sure I don't mess it up too much. And we're going to grab our hammer. And remember, like in some of my previous videos, you're going to drop the hammer. You don't want to use too much force. Just drop it. Especially if you're using copper, because copper is already very soft. And if you drop and drag in a J shape, as you're dropping down, creating a J, this will spread the wire a little bit too. So if you want to add a little bit of spread to the wire, add a little bit of dimension. Okay, so now once we get to that spot, we're going to go ahead and move our anvil out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and put my weaving wire back on its spool over here. Okay. So grab your weaving wire, and like I said, I work from the spool most of the time, unless there's specific projects that require a certain segment. But because of that, starting off, you're going to make sure that you have a tail on it. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it around both sides of the wire 3 times. If I can hold it. There we go. All right, so I've wrapped it 3 times around both wires. And we're just going to leave the tail off to the side. Now we're going to go ahead and wrap the weaving wire around one base wire. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it 3 times around one wire. And we're going to do a figure 8. So going under and then over to the other side. I'm going to wrap around that side 3 times. So going under and then over the next wire. Sorry, hit the camera. Scooting down the wire. And we're just going to keep doing this pattern until we get a decent way up there. Because what we're going to do is we're basically creating a back for the stone to sit in. So I'm going to go ahead and narrow that a little bit too. Because you don't want the angle to be too wide when it folds over. You don't want it sticking out the side, so you want to make sure that hides behind it. Okay, so up and over and around. Here guys, let me see if I can zoom this in a little bit. That way maybe it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so around 3 times, 2, and then up and over the next wire. So up and over. And the other side. So I'll probably do it a couple more times and then I'll show you the next step. All right, now that I've done that a couple times, I'm going to go ahead and I think I have enough on the back. You might want to keep the weaving wire on there in case you need to weave some more, but I think I have plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and pull and twist. And pull off that piece. Now with this tail wire, this tail piece, what we're going to do is we're going to take it and we're going to go through, weave it kind of up the ladder of weaves here. So then through the next one, and then finally through the last one. I think you only need to do about 3 times. And it doesn't have to look perfect. And this is the back portion, so. All right. So there we go. And I forgot to mention too, after you hammer this, you might want to make sure that it still fits. Mine still fits, so we're good. I forgot to check. Okay, so once you've finished, you're going to figure out which side is the front, which one's the back. So I like this side is the front for the setting. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the pliers and hold about here. And then I'm going to leverage with my left hand to start bending this backward. Oops. Okay. So you notice here, I can't really get the stone in. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that out a little bit. I just wanted to make sure it kind of got the spot. And nylon pliers are really good if you don't want to mar your wire, since these are pretty tough on wire. You can also use painter's tape and tape the tips. Sometimes I find that helps. Now grab your stone. And we're going to go ahead and set the stone. Maybe. Like so. And I'm going to go ahead and just press with my fingers. So kind of get it set. Like so. And then you can go ahead and tighten a little bit more as needed with your pliers. Tighten on either side here, so just so that stone does not go anywhere. Okay. And there you have it. There's your setting. And, you know, I use them in all kinds of things. I use it as like an addition to a bail. So if you're doing a woven piece, you could insert that and just weave it in like a bail portion. Sometimes I use it in my hammered pieces and I use it as a setting. And then I use this extra wire to kind of wrap around things and make different decorative accents and everything. But otherwise, this is just a brief tutorial to show you how to do the setting, and then I'll leave it to your own creativity. You guys, you are welcome to join my Facebook group if you want to show pictures of what you're doing, because I would love to see it. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. That really helps my channel and helps me reach more people who are wanting to learn. And also be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new tutorials. So thank you guys for joining me, and I hope that you have a terrific day.